Don't forget to like and share this broadcast with your friends and family on Facebook Live as well as on YouTube. Let all of your friends and family know to subscribe so that you know when the Center of Hope is going live.
Well, welcome to Real Talk. I'm your co-host on tonight, Bishop Mitchell G. Taylor. And if you are a Real Talker tonight, I want to welcome you to the virtual sanctuary of Real Talk on tonight. And I want to thank all the Real Talkers for joining us every Monday night. Remember, if it's 9 p.m. and it's Monday night, it's time for Real Talk. I want to start this program off by, number one, dedicating it to a dear member of the Center of Hope International. I want to dedicate this program to Mother Wendy Pittman. Mother Wendy Pittman, affectionately known as Sister Wendy. Sister Wendy has been a member of the Center of Hope for a number of years, but she's been intimately connected to me because I adopted her as my mother and she adopted me as her son. And when her son died prematurely, she said, "Bishop, you're just like my son Will. And you know, everything Will used to do for me, you do for me now, and I'm so grateful." And we created a bond with each other. And just to accelerate the conversation, she wasn't feeling well a couple of weeks ago, and she said that she couldn't go to the bathroom. So she said she's going to drink some milk of magnesia or some kind of, enema type thing to make her pass, whatever. And a couple of days or so it went by and it didn't pass. And so I said, well, let's try some castor oil. She tried the castor oil and that didn't work. And so after a week or so, she says, Bishop, you know what? I think I'm going to go to the emergency room. I said, you know what? I think that's a good idea because this has been going on too long. And so she went to the emergency room and she called the ambulance. I said, well, I'm coming. So I drove to her house and got there the same time the ambulance got there, and they took her to the hospital. And I went with her to the hospital, followed the ambulance there, went with her to the emergency room, and stayed there until they diagnosed her. And so they said that she had a blockage in her colon, but they said that they could take care of it. They would mitigate it, all that stuff. And we prayed and believed God and what have you. And so they were all scheduled to do the procedure on Thursday of this week. And I got a call from her on this morning. And she said, Bishop, they want to move up the surgery for today. And I said, well, Mother, I'm out of town, but I'm going to do a meeting and I'm going to come right back and so I can be with you. So if you're going into surgery, when they call you down, call me first so we could pray. And then I'm going to be on my way back to New York and I'm coming to the hospital. And so she called me before they took her down for the operation. I guess it was around, trying to see the exact time now. What time was it when we talked? It was, I'll tell you right now. Yeah, it was 11:15. She said, Bishop, they're taking me down to the operating room. I said, okay, well, I'm going to make my way back. And I'll be there when you come and they put you in recovery. And so on my way back to New York, I got a call from my son and saying that she slipped into critical condition. And I said, well, I'm on my way to the hospital. So I, proceeded to the hospital, got there around 6:30 and, prayed with her daughter. And they said that even though she couldn't respond, she could hear what we were saying. So I was talking to her So I told Judy, her daughter, I said, listen, I'm going back to do Real Talk. That comes on at 9. And then I'm going to come back and relieve you at about 10:30, as soon as I get off the air. And then you can go home, get yourself together and stay home as long as you want. And then you come back and then you can relieve me and I'll go home. And we were going to tag team like that so that she wouldn't be alone tonight. And I just got the call that 15 minutes ago, she went home to be with the Lord. So I want everyone and anyone that knows Sister Wendy, you know she is one of the most generous people on the face of the earth. I mean, she has blessed people. That was her ministry, to give to people. That was just her ministry, to give. And God anointed her and favored her, that when she gave, listen, I can say so much about Sister Wendy, but I'm dedicating this program tonight to Sister Wendy Pittman on tonight. So, all right. So let's be in prayer for her son and Tony and her daughter Judy and the family on today, as they lost their mother, their grandmother, and the Center of Hope has lost a great asset to our church and to our ministry. And so we're certainly praying on tonight for them. So tonight we have a special guest. Tonight, my co-host Bishop Liston Page is traveling from California back to New York, we planned on doing this show originally with our special guest tonight. We were going to be remote from California, but circumstances changed for me. And so I'm here back in New York. I had to go out of town yesterday to another part of town, the country. But tonight I'm here with my special guest that's going to be dialoguing and conversating with us on tonight. I'm so excited. I need you to hit that share button and tag as many people in your network and let them know that Real Talk is on the air and that we have a special guest. Tonight's guest is Reverend Dr. Johnny M. Green. That's Johnny Melvin Green, Jr., and he's a native of Dallas, Texas. Dr. Green is the son of Deacon Johnny M. Green, Sr., and the late Mrs. Irma J. Green. Dr. Green earned his Doctor of Ministry from Drew University, 2001, Masters of Divinity from Princeton Theological Seminary in 1992, and Bachelor of Arts from Dallas Baptist University in 1985. After 43 years of preaching the gospel and 36 years of senior pastor, Dr. Green, for the past 16 years, has served as senior pastor, and Dr. Green has successfully led the church, senior pastor of the Mount Nebo Baptist Church in the village of Harlem, and has successfully led the church through gentrification, a building restoration program, over 1.5 million, and through demographic changes in Harlem. Dr. Green is known for his cutting-edge preaching, bold teaching and activism, and his notable social justice work in New York and around the country. He is in tremendous demand abroad as a guest preacher, evangelist, and lecturer in churches, colleges, and seminaries. He is the proprietor and president of Agape Children's Academy of New Jersey, with multiple locations. He's the president and CEO of Mobilizing Preachers and Communities Impact, and most recently, an equity partner in Arc Health, a Wall Street firm specializing in preventive healthcare. Married, 2 beautiful children, 2 wonderful sons, a member of the National Action Network board, and under his leadership, remains one of the most sought after pastors in the village of Harlem and around the world. And so tonight, I want you to help me, all the Real Talkers, help me welcome to the platform none other than our own incomparable Dr. Johnny Melvin Green. Dr. Green.
God bless you, Bishop Taylor, and let me begin by sending my condolence to Mother Wendy's family and to you as well as her pastor, because I know how the loss of a stellar member can impact the psyche of a pastor. People think that we don't feel pain. They think that we don't grieve, and they think that we are immune. But as pastors, we are human. And when a member of our congregation transitions to glory, it pains us like it pains a family member, because
Yes,
we are spiritually connected. And you do know that some spiritual ties are greater than some blood ties. And
that's
I've
true.
had people, congregants who have passed on, and their passings impacted me more than some people that I have blood ties to. Not
Wow.
that I don't love my blood kin, but spiritual ties and spiritual connections can run very deep. And Center Hope will miss Mother Wendy. Her children will miss her. Pastor will miss her. And so you have my sincere uh, condolence. And then I want to thank you for saying all of those nice things about me. And if God will forgive you for saying them, He'll forgive me for enjoying them. I think I'll have you come Sunday and introduce me to Mount Nebo. But I graciously accept the invitation to be a part of this magnificent talk show. I tune in from time to time to you and one of my other favorite preachers, Bishop Liston Page. Two of you all are dear friends of mine, and I appreciatively applaud the work that you all are doing and the conversations that you all are having, because they are relevant, they're apropos, and they, cause us to think, um, not outside the box, but they cause us to think in a way when there is no box.
Mm,
And I appreciate you, Bishop, and thank you for thinking of me. I had no idea I'd be on your show tonight, but when you called, I tried to comply and acquiesce to your request. So I'm glad to be here
I
tonight.
I humbly appreciate you because you are one of God's generals in the kingdom and one of the most sought after and desired preachers and lecturers around the country. And I appreciate it. And we have similar, we're good friends because, we could talk to each other every day or we can miss 3 or 4 months and pick right up where we left off.
Absolutely.
And from traveling with you and working with you and working under your leadership with Impact, I've learned that we have similar
Hmm.
taste in clothing, similar taste in luggage, similar taste in animals. And I
Yeah,
want to break the
absolutely.
ice a little bit with the animal piece. And I want to just show, if you don't mind, a few pictures of your current dog.
Okay.
Just a moment.
Oh,
Uh, T, can I put those up? How do I do that? Oh, wow. Tell us about this dog.
you know, I I learned a lot about Connie Corsos through you. You had
Mhm.
two beautiful Connie Corsos. Some people call them Cane Corsos, Connie Corso. And I always wanted one. And when our beloved Roxy died after 14 years, against my wife's wishes. Uh, can you hear me, Bishop? Because I see my
Yes, I
thing.
can. Yes,
Okay,
yes, I can hear you.
okay. Against my wife's wishes, I went out and spent an exorbitant amount of money at a private breeder, and I asked for the most aggressive dog in the litter. And Lord, did I ask for the wrong thing? And Max has been a mess since we got him, and he's still a mess. I've spent in 11 months, I have spent in excess of $17,000 on this one dog, and over 10,000 just trying to get him training, uh, doctor bills, with shots and just
can I
all
can I
kinds of
can
things.
Johnny, Johnny, listen. Can I be your listen? I'll be your road dog. Can listen? You spent listen. I listen. I'm cheap. You can spend half that on me. I'll be good.
He's an amazing dog. I don't have the time, and my family told me that I didn't have the time. And our son Josh, he really is the handler of this dog. He's a great dog, but he's schizophrenic. He's bipolar, and he can love on you one minute and try to take you down the next minute. He's playing, but he's so aggressive and so strong, And so, hopefully, after we have him neutered this month, he'll calm down. He'll be a year old on the 22nd, and hopefully he'll calm down. But we're gonna find a way to coexist. But he's wrecked my backyard. You know how much money and time and effort we put in beautifying our backyard, and now it's just a mess. And so we got to figure out how to do our yard and where he can't destroy it. But
I tried to give you a warning, but now I'm gonna take your pictures down and I'm gonna put up my pictures of my dog that inspired you. That's Caney, and there she is. And she went home to be with the Lord on Mother's Day, on Mother's Day of last year, and I missed her. I missed her tremendously, and I had two of them. You're right, Caney and Apollo, and Apollo. I'm sorry, Apollo died on Mother's Day, and Apollo is in the middle actually, and Caney is the two on the outside pictures. And so I lost both of them. Their lifespan, Johnny, so you know, you can take them down, T. Thank you. It's only 8 to 10 years.
Yeah, that's what I know. Yeah.
Only 8 to 10 years. And that's why I couldn't do it no more. So, you know, I got a dog now, Johnny. Her name is Gracie Lou.
Gracie Lou.
And she's a American Staffordshire Terrier.
Wow.
And she's 70% American Staffordshire Terrier and 30% I don't know.
Okay.
And when I got her from the shelter, I got her from an attorney that got her from the shelter, and the attorney said, "I thought about you, Bishop, because the dog's name is Grace." And and I said, you know what? If she got 30% of whatever you don't know about, that means she's going to live longer than the average dog I've had. So anyway, so I have her now. She's about 60 pounds.
Wow.
She's 2 years old, you know. But you know what? I train, you know, I thought that I wasn't going to be able to train her like the Corsos. She goes through all of my automatic doggy doors. She's totally housebroken, totally, you know. And here's the thing: I've been so overprotective of my Corsos because, you know, if they get a hold of somebody that they're not supposed to, it's over. It's a wrap. You can just go ahead to court and just say, "Judge, here's my arms, lock me up," because it's over. And I just got tired of that aggression. I got tired. And you know what? I mean, my point is, I just wouldn't go back to them right now because it's just a lot of work. And they require a lot of attention.
For me. This is it, Jackie. Jackie said the other day, this is it. Whatever the outcome, this is it. No more dogs after this. And I can't go through another dog's death. Our first dog we had to put down was Jazz, which was a chocolate lab. Jazz was 13 and he was our heart. And then we thought we couldn't love a dog again that much. And then Roxy just really, really took it to the next level. And you remember Roxy?
Yeah, I do.
Rottweiler.
Love Roxy.
Rottweiler.
Yes.
And now we have Mad Max, and we're gonna see how this turn out. But whatever the outcome, that's it. No more. Because I can't walk them. You know, I mean, I don't have the energy or the strength. This dog, this Cane Corso, needs to run, needs to walk, needs a lot of attention. And I just don't have that kind of energy anymore. And my youngest son, he's doing it reluctantly but lovingly. And so I
Right.
appreciate him.
Right. Well, listen, Dr. Green, I don't want to, I really have a couple of things I want to talk to you about and tap into your expertise as a professor at Princeton University and
Columbia.
At Columbia University. I'm sorry, you went to Princeton, but you're a professor at Columbia University. And, you know, you're one of the smartest men that I know, not only in academia, but in African American activism, and if I can couch it that way. And so, in the next few minutes that I have left with you, I want to talk about two particular subjects, and one is academia, and one is activism. And academia from the African American perspective in urban tracts around the country, and I would call them urban challenge tracts, so that they might be called challenge tracks, whether they're rural, urban, or otherwise, because I found in suburbia and in urban and in rural tracts, African American populations are challenged in different ways, but yet challenged. So, and then I want to talk about the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington. Dr. King led that march, and you sit on the board of the National Action Network. And I got a message from Reverend Sharpton that he's doing the march. Of course, he made it. Everybody knows this. He's doing this anniversary march to commemorate the 60th, and want to get buses going all over the city to bring people to Washington, D.C. for this historic 60th anniversary commemoration. So let me start with the academic part. So in public housing in New York City, there are 343 conventional public housing developments in New York City spread out over the 5 boroughs. NYCHA says they have 683,000 leaseholders, but they probably have 1.2 million people living in their properties around the city of New York. 178,000 apartments are managed by the New York City Housing Authority. I have a PhD myself, Dr. Green, and it's a public housing degree. I've taken time to study and analyze the statistics, the geography, the population, and some of the barriers and hindrances that are systemically and structurally ingrained, not only in the real estate and the population, that has retarded any kind of real progress in those populations. Let me give you a fun fact. 3% of the population of public housing residents over the age of 25 years of age and older, only 3% have a bachelor degree. 3%. Queensbridge is the largest public housing development in the country. 96 buildings, 6-block radius, 3,100 apartments, 8,000 leaseholders, 20,000 residents. Only 3% have a bachelor degree. Now, we're in the season of graduations. Our children are graduating from middle school to high school, graduating from high school, graduating elementary school to middle school, all kinds of graduations and celebrations going on. But as a professor at Columbia University, as an academic, as an owner of schools yourself, how has the academic picture changed, or has it changed for African Americans and for us in this country?
That's a egregious statistic that you gave, Bishop. Only 3% of African Americans living in public housing in New York City have obtained a bachelor's degree. Uh, it's good that 3% have degrees, but it's reprehensible that the percentage is so low. Uh, there's this saying, when white America catches a cold, black America gets pneumonia. Uh, since slavery, uh, black people in every arena of life uh, have been disenfranchised against. And one of the areas that America has been very disingenuous towards people of color is in the arena of education. Very, and I consider myself very fortunate, uh, and I thank God that I had uh, parents who believed in the children getting a high education, but by no means did I come from a well-to-do family. But I had a father, my father, who was 90 years old in Dallas, who was one of the first black research assistants at the University of Texas, Dallas. He was very disciplined in handling uh, his money, and he made sure that for years, from the time I was a kid, he was looking forward to funding my college education. And so I was one of those fortunate kids that had a father and a mother who financed my education. The student loans that I took out were because I was just greedy and I wanted money. And I took those loans when I didn't need them, and my father made me pay them all back myself. But I was fortunate, But looking back in the community that I grew up in, which was a predominantly black community on the southern side of Dallas, um, you know, uh, low income housing. Um, my, I was one of the kids that made it out. Very few made it. I was with two of my good junior high and high school buddies that are lifelong friends of mine. 3 weeks ago, my best friend's father passed away. And so we went to Columbus, Ohio to the homegoing. And he's a retired chemical engineer from Procter & Gamble. And our other friend, classmate, who was valedictorian of class, Dr. Ron McGee, is a brain surgeon in Oklahoma City. He's been a brain surgeon for the past 30 years. So we were some of the fortunate kids that got out of the community. Um, I'm reading this new book, Bishop, and I'm gonna come full circle with what I'm gonna say. I'm reading this book by Bishop Jakes on it's not called radical thinking. It's called oh man, I've
Disruptive
been reading it all
thinking.
day. I can't think of the
Disruptive
original
thinking.
title of the book, but it's something
Disruptive
thinking.
thinking. Disruptive thinking.
Disruptive thinking is the title of the book.
Yes.
And in that book, some of the salient questions that you're raising now and issues that you're talking about tonight, Bishop Jake talks about uh, in that book. Uh, America has not done enough. Corporate America has not done enough. Elected officials haven't done enough. And here's the caveat. I learned that word from you. The caveat is the black church, the black church. Although the black church has been the bastion of hope, it has been the centerpiece of the community. We have been exposed to educational excellence through the church, but the dynamics of the black church has changed, and the emphasis of the black church in the past is not the emphasis of the black church today.
Mm.
Uh, you know, the, we got our greatest inspiration as youth from people in the church, people who achieved, people who uh, scaled the heights of academia. They were members of our church. The doctors, the lawyers, they were members of our church. But the church, the demographics of the church has changed. The mindset, the psychographics. That's a new word I learned today, talking to my dear friend DZ Cofield in Houston, the psychographic of the church has drastically changed.
Mm.
And you know, we can't put all the blame for a lack of education
Right.
opportunities on the oppressor. A lot of the blame has to be laid at the foot of people of color. You know, especially leaders, you know, who don't have a mindset. I know in my church, in the church where I serve as senior pastor in Harlem, we have most of our children who've grown up in our church end up going off to college and graduating and getting degrees and master's degrees. Some of them return, some of them don't. Most of them do return, but getting them um, re-involved, that's not the word I'm looking for. Uh, but
Re-engaged.
repositioning, yeah, re-engaged and recentered in the church is sometimes challenging. And those are the ones that we need to help us to promote uh, higher learning. Now, I want to say this. One of the things that inspired me was my high school principal, late Dr. Frederick Todd. We had a theme at our school, high school. And I played football in high school. I was very popular. But Dr. Todd was my greatest inspiration. And he gave us a theme, striving for academical excellence. That was the theme. And I watched him as a black man rise through the ranks of academia in the public schools of Dallas to become one of the leading educators in Dallas. And he was somebody that I wanted to be like. So when I first went off to college, I studied secondary education because I wanted to be a principal. But then I was called to ministry. But I also understood unequivocally that if I was going to, some preachers are just gifted oratorically, some preachers are just organic um, orators. They just have it. They just, you know, that wasn't me. I had to really work hard academically. I wanted to learn, I wanted to sharpen my tools. And so I engaged myself in rigorous academical studies. And it paid off for me, you know. And now I'm trying to use what God has given me to benefit others through our organization impact, through the church work that I do, through the community work that I do. But the problem is with us. The main problem is with us as people of color. We have to get back to that thing. It takes a village to raise a child. You
Right.
know, the village has, in some sense, failed our children. You know, the latest group of kids. And you know, there are a lot of other issues, you know, the crack generation that devastated our communities. Now, I'm a myth buster as well. And here's what I want to say. Even with those dismal numbers that you shared with us, it is a myth. And society tries to control our way of thinking. It is a myth that there are more black men in prison than there are black men graduating from college. That is a myth. That
Really.
is not true. Now, I'm not saying that the penal institution is not uh, uh, overcrowded with people of color, black men in particular, but there are not more black men in prison than there are black men graduating from college. So that's a
Wow.
myth. So I guess
Where
to
did that
come
come
full
from?
circle,
Where did that
uh,
come from?
it comes from uh, bogus research. It comes from institutions of higher learning and the general population of white Eurocentric America controlling the narrative through media, through television journalism, print journalism. It comes through uh, 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 racist uh, politicians, both Republicans and Democrats. who pushed the narrative, and we bought the narrative, and we pay, and we bought into this idea, uh, and so, while we while we grieve and mourn the dismal numbers that you pointed out, we also have to celebrate the ones who have achieved such an honor. I just, yesterday we celebrated Pastor Patrick Young's son, and I would like to say that when Pastor Young talked about his son, he talked about both you and I, and the role that we played in we all work together. Me, you, and Pat. We've worked on special projects. We've had through our organizations monies come through our organization where we were able to give scholarships, and we were able to finance certain educational uh, efforts of Tyler and Dwight, Josh and Jeremiah. And so I was just literally touched by the homage that was paid by Reverend Young to you and I, which supports the idea of it takes a village to raise a child, but the idea that Tyler and Dwight were not our biological sons, but they were our nephews, you know, and we worked together, and it happened. And so now we have two more black men out of one household in East Amherst, Queens, and so now you got a whole family. You got a whole
That's
family
right.
of educated people. Pat has a degree. Pat has a bachelor's and a master's degree. His wife has a degree, and now his children. In my household, I have 3 degrees: a bachelor's, a master's, and a doctorate. My wife has a bachelor's and a master's in early childhood education, and both of our sons have bachelor's degrees. So that's why I say I'm a myth buster. And it's just one household. That's just one household on the block. At the end of my street is an apartment complex, and I don't know the demographics of the apartment complex, but I do know from the people who come in and out of those apartments that they don't appear. And you can never judge a book by its cover, but it doesn't appear that they're college educated people. They're working people, uh, but so I think the important thing to do is to address this 3%. How do we get the numbers up? What can we do? What role do the church play? What role does social justice organizations play? What role does politics play? What role does corporate America play? What role does the government play in raising those dismal The numbers are dismal. They're disappointing. But we have to play the hand we've been dealt.
And it's right. We have to play the hand that we're dealt. And but I also think that there is something to be said about showing up. A mentor told me one time years ago, I said, listen, I'm like you. Although my father was a great orator, great preacher, and I grew up listening to great preaching my entire life, he exposed us to nothing but great preaching. And I didn't want to be a great preacher. I wanted to get as far away from the church and preachers as I possibly could. So there was no aspiration, no desire, no whatnot that I had to follow in my dad's footsteps when I was a young man. I played the drums, I played instruments, because my father's house, you had to play some instrument. My grandmother was a music teacher, and all 9 of my father's siblings had to learn the piano because she was a piano teacher. And she said that piano is the foundation of everything in music.
Exactly.
And sometimes it follows you into other areas as well. They say that people that know how to play an instrument, and particularly the piano, it activates another side of the learning mechanisms in their brain. I don't know. You may know more about that than I do, being a professor. And so, addressing that, you came up with something that really piqued my interest as we're coming down to the end. We have this second topic I want to broach with you as well. What do we do? You said it. You said it takes a village to raise college graduates, and you used a very salient example with Tyler and Dwight. And I couldn't be there because I was out of town. On Sunday after I finished preaching 3 times, I had to go do whatnot, and so. But I'm sending him my gift to support that, because I need him to know, and I need the community to know. And the reason why we show up to those things is because we want people to know how important it is,
yes,
for us to accomplish that very, very important objective of higher learning. And it is, I just took a note when you were talking. It is said that a person with a college degree will earn $1.2 million more over their earning period than a person without a degree.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Bishop. Listen.
No. So I think that it's very important for us to figure out, get our decoders out, and figure out how do we change the narrative and change the dynamic. And not only that, because we've got a lot of avenues we have to pursue, because everything is not going to happen in college. We've seen that now. You can go into coding, you can go in. Now we have this thing with AI that we'll talk about another time. That's a whole nother thing now, because AI is going to push out a whole lot of entry-level jobs and things of that nature. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to touch upon that artificial intelligence piece. It's almost, and I want to be very guarded in my word. It's almost bordering on the level of Satanism.
Wow.
I learned the other day that some preachers are actually using artificial intelligence to write their sermons. They simply say the title and the text, and the artificial intelligence technology does the rest. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. Now, I do believe that God has given us technology, and we should use it appropriately. I think we should use it guardedly. But I think, like other automations, we go through the toll booths. You don't see toll collectors anymore. Automation pushed those people out of job. So now this AI is going to really impact. And like I said, when white America catches a cold, black America gets pneumonia, it's going to devastate and impact our communities the most. But here's the issue. And I want to do 2 things before we go to the next topic. Number one, I want to say, Bishop, that as the church, as the Black church, because this is a religious program, and it touches upon all other topics. But as the Black church, we have to get back to where we promote Black higher learning and education. We have to get back to that, where our churches place a lot of emphasis on scholarship committees, and to do more to influence our young people to go on to college. Now, here's another piece of that. Everybody is not college material. Okay, everybody's not cut to go to college. We've got to get back to trade schools. We've got to get back. When we were coming along, you had wood shop, you had home economics, you had you had I forget.
Don't have that no more.
We used to even have auto body in my high
school. We had music class.
And they took that away. And so kids were introduced to that at an early age. And so we don't have it now. So at some point, the church, the social justice organization, we've got to come together to create more uh, more opportunities beyond college, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because we have kids, special needs kids who may not be able to sit in a classroom. They may have ADD or ADHD, you know, and it's a lot of, you know, we see it in, you know, as a child, early childhood educational provider. We see it early in preschoolers in the church where they're not, these kids are not going, some of them are going, a lot of them are going to make it, but some of them are going to fall through the cracks. We have to find a way to prepare the ones that fall through the crack with some kind of alternative learning, some kind of alternative craft where they can make a decent living, a living where they can get out of public housing. And I don't have all the answers. I promise I don't. But I do want to engage more in what Bishop Jakes calls disruptive thinking to have a positive impact. The last thing I want to say about that is I think your co-host, Bishop Liston Page, is a perfect example of what can happen to a gifted organic preacher who goes to the academy. Bishop Page, by anyone's testament, before he went back to school, was one of America's greatest preachers. And I say that unreservedly. And he went back to school. I don't, with his crazy schedule, the demands on his ministry, I don't know how he did it. I do not know. And I know I traveled a lot when I was in school. But you know, Bishop Page's Liston Page, his schedule trumps mine to the 10th power, and he did it. And I sometimes tune in. I see him ministering in different venues, and I can see where that organic talent, that organic knowledge, that preaching prowess, I can see where the academic piece just took him to another level, you know, which states the how important it is for for our people to, regardless of what field of study, whether it's theology, sociology, psychology, cosmetology, you name it, we run the gamut, but we must find a way to inspire underprivileged, disenfranchised people to go to school, and we must provide resources because you can't do anything without resources. And so, as the church, we have to do more to finance the academics of our children in our churches, and through our social justice organization, we got to ascertain money to help fund the education of our up and coming generation. That's all I have to say on that.
Wow. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that you know, I think that you brought out a very good point. That was a very good example with Bishop Page, because you're right. You know, by all, you know, uh, marks of demarcation, you know, he was organically a great preacher, and then
Mm-hmm.
after academia, even a greater preacher and
Yeah.
communicator. And
And
that, you know,
I
my
mean, his
father.
schedule was already full. I mean, you know, it wasn't going to open more doors for him, but it was something. It was something, and I saw it in him. It was something internally. It was an insatiable appetite to engage in higher learning that drove that man. And I watched him go through the process, and I watched it transform him. You know,
Mm.
I mean, that's just what educate, and that's why it's so important for us to push the narrative of the necessity of education.
Yeah. So we only got a couple more minutes left, but I got to hit
Okay.
this with you if we have time. If not, I'll bring you back to talk about it. Um, the 60th anniversary March on Washington. You know, you are the king of activism in my mind. You know, for preachers and pastors and people on the ground here in the city. What are we doing? I mean, you know, one of the greatest leaders in this that we've all convalesced around is Reverend Sharpton, Reverend Al Sharpton, and he has, been very, very effective in memorializing and mobilizing us to, how important is it? Sometimes people say, man, I'm not going again, and it doesn't really matter. Can you just give us a few? I want to encourage people to let them know how important it is, or maybe it's not important. I mean, but maybe you can just help us tonight.
It's it's very important, and I appreciatively applaud and celebrate Reverend Sharpton for calling for this massive march on Washington to commemorate and to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington led by Dr. Martin Luther King. Whether we like it or not, Reverend Sharpton has become the voice of Black America. He has, as far as I'm concerned, he has the biggest platform, the biggest microphone, through MSNBC, through his national syndicated radio show, through National Action Network rally on Saturdays, uh, through Morning Joe. I don't know of another Black man that has media outlet and platform that he has. And I had to, I work very close and personal with Reverend Sharpton. And I raised a question the other day because I was on MSNBC with him week before last. And, the man never takes a break. He's constantly moving from 3 o'clock in the morning to 9 and 10 o'clock at night, and he's back up the next morning. He never really takes time to really do a really serious vacation. We'll get on a plane and we'll go places. We'll be hibernating. Nobody knows. He doesn't reserve that luxury because of his notoriety. But this call for the march, this is a very important march. This 60th anniversary, 6 decades ago, the drum major for justice called for a disenfranchised portion of Americans to come to the nation's capital to shed light on not just injustice of a nation, but to talk about the bad check that America had written Black America, and we still have not been able to cash that check. It is still a check that's constantly stamped with insufficient funds. You just highlighted it when you talked about the 3% of college graduates living in the public. That's an indication that the check still hasn't been fully funded. And so, people want to say, well, this is just something Al does for publicity, da 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 da. Well, if not Al, then who? Somebody has to keep the torch lit. Somebody has to keep reminding America that we are coming back because the job is not done. We still have police brutality. We still have people, dying. Jordan Neely, his family's in my church, you know, senselessly dying at the hands of a subway vigilante who took it upon himself to put this man in a chokehold for more than 15 minutes. And then
Sure
he
did.
gets up and says he didn't intend to kill him. What in the hell did he do? What was he trying to do? And to see the GoFundMe for Jordan Neely have 160,000 in it, and to see the GoFundMe for Daniel Penny with $3 million, that lets you know that we need to go back to Washington D.C. And
Woo!
so here's the deal. Reverend Sharpton is just sending out the clarion call. The responsibility of getting people to Washington D.C. falls on all of our shoulders. We all ought to be gung ho on getting people to Washington D.C. so we can get the look at what Donald Trump did on January 6th. all those hundreds of thousands and even probably millions of people who came to DC on January 6th came from a clarion call sent out by Donald Trump. When you look at the fact that Donald Trump called the rioters of January 6th to come, it's another indication that we need to go back to Washington. And we cannot let the dream of Dr. King become the nightmare of Malcolm. Okay? And so it's personal for me. It ain't about, as far as I'm concerned, it ain't about Reverend Sharpton. It ain't even about King. It's about where we are as a people of color. And the lack of pride. You would think 60 years after King gave the I Have a Dream, it would be more than 3% of black people in public housing in New York City with a college degree. But Bishop, this is an awesome program you're having tonight, man. And it's amazing how all this is tying in on the topic that's tying in with everything. So I'm saying we should be celebrating Reverend Sharpton and helping him. And you know, me and Al, we've had our differences, and I had to admit to him, my differences with him had more to do with my immaturity and my aspirations to do what he's doing. And it was not until his maturity set me down, in his state of maturity, set me down and said to me, if you want to do what I do, I'll help you. And really, when I look back in a reflective moment, you know, I regret that moment. I regret that moment because, you know, I had access to him then, and all I had to do was get under his tutelage. But because we have so many voices speaking to us, and you remember back then what we were dealing with, and all the people that was, you know, people saw opportunities to use us, and they did. And in our immaturity, we let them use us. But we got educated real fast, and we learned how not to get pimped, right? And
You better
and so
believe it.
then we came back to the table, and now here we are working with Reverend. And I see myself, you know, listen, man, I don't mind getting out here, helping Reverend Sharpton get these buses and get these
Yeah.
people to
Yeah.
Washington. You know.
Well, that's why I brought the subject up, because some people say, well, does it matter, Bishop? Why does, because I, you know, last week, myself and the Resident Association president from Queensbridge Houses, along with Rodney, who is from Queensbridge, who Reverend Sharpton affectionately calls the mayor of Queensbridge. And we were talking about, you know, how we're going to mobilize our community to go to the march. I said, you know, I'm taking my son. If my daughter lets me take my grandchildren, I'm going to take my grandchildren and my son-in-law. We're going to go I'm going to take all my grandchildren. I'm going to take all the kids from the church. I want, this should be something that 60 is a big number.
Yeah.
And we should not let this go unnoted. And and there's not a lot of promotion going on about it, but we need to make sure that we're doing our part to promote it on the ground, create the groundswell, so that Reverend Sharpton says, oh my God, man, this thing is taking off, because we, the emissaries on the ground, are pushing the narrative. And that's why I wanted us to say something about it tonight on Real Talk. And hopefully going forward, I'll be able to have Rev come on too, and to
he'll be more than happy to.
Yeah, talk about this thing going to march on Washington for the 60th anniversary. Well, listen, I want to say, first of all, Dr. Green, thank you so much. I'm 3 minutes over time, and I always promise the Real Talkers that I'm going to keep them to the 1 hour that I promised. We've been doing the show now over 3 years, and God has been good to us. And so I'm grateful for the Real Talkers on tonight. And I want everyone tonight watching to sow a seed, get an offering. The ways to give are on the bottom of the screen on tonight. If you're giving Cash App, it's $ the Kohi Nation. If you're giving PayPal or Zelle, it's kohigives@gmail.com. www.revendoctorjohnnygreen.com. I would to God that at least 30 of you tonight would sow a seed of $30. Just 30 people tonight. Sow us. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Claudette. Sow a seed of $30 tonight. As you sow it, just put done in the comment section. And I want you to know that we appreciate you tremendously. Dr. Green, any final remarks? Dr. Green, any final remarks?
Bishop, I just want to thank you for having me on. Thank you for touching upon salient topics that need to be discussed every day as far as thank you for having me on, and thank you for discussing salient topics that our people need to be exposed to.
Thank you so much, Dr. Green. And listen, we're going to get you back on, give you more lead and runway time than I gave you today.
Bless you,
but
man.
Thank you so much, man. You know, our friendship is never ending. I love you. I love Mount Nebo. And I thank God for all the work that you're doing with Impact and the scholarships and the Agape Christian School that you run in New Jersey, and ARC Healthcare, and all the things that you do for our community. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bless you, Bishop.
Thank you so much. All right. You heard it first right here on Real Talk. And listen, if you want to visit the Reverend Dr. Johnny Green, please visit him at the Mount Nebo Baptist Church every Sunday morning. And you can go right to his website. Somebody put the website in the comment section, Mount Nebo Baptist Church. And I want every person, if you don't have a church to go to and you're in the village of Harlem, go to 104th and enjoy the fellowship and the preaching ministry of Dr. Johnny Melvin Green Jr. Amen. I love saying that name. All right. Listen, guys, I need you to go ahead and get into the comment section. Thank you, President Haynes, for your seed on tonight. Just need 29 people and to sow that seed of 30 on tonight. I do want to make mention, sadly, that our dear, oh my God, my heart is heavy tonight. Our dear mother, Wendy Pittman, has gone home to be with the Lord. She's gone on to be with the Lord. And I need your prayers for the family, and prayers for our children, Tony and Judy, for a grandson, and pray for the Center of Hope, because we are going to miss her. She has been a tremendous pillar to me personally and to the Center of Hope International. All right. This program was dedicated to her, dedicated to our memory on tonight. And I want tonight to be a real special seed. So I want everyone to sow it tonight. 30 people sow the $30 seed tonight. Put done in the comment section so that I'll know that you've participated tonight in the name of the Lord. All right. If all hearts and minds are clear, and while you're sowing seed tonight, I want to thank you in advance. Let's keep the family of our dear mother in prayer, Mother Wendy Pittman. Let's keep her family in prayer, children. And we believe God. Don't forget, I'm believing for each and every one of you on Wednesday morning. You put that up, T. Join us Wednesday morning for our Wednesday morning word. Wednesday morning word. Every Wednesday, I'm preaching and teaching, and I believe you'll be blessed. Take a picture of the passcode and join us. Sanctuary opens at 5 a.m. in the morning, and we start our teaching at 6 a.m. sharp. All right. Well, T, I think we have finished our presentation for tonight. I'm going to now regress and begin the planning for the homegoing celebration of Mother Wendy Pittman, and to talk with her daughter and her son right now. So thank you in advance for your giving. Thank you. I don't see many people checking in with the done comments, but as you're sewing, put done in the comment section. And if you can't sew to 30, get as close as you can to it, sew something. And I believe God will be glorified and you will be blessed in return. All right. Thank you so much. Don't forget, as I always say, walk with the King today and be a blessing. I'll see you Wednesday morning.